Hello, Eve. This is our second semifinal in Alliance Tournament 9. We have on your left HYDRA Reloaded with a Claymore, 3 Slipners, a Scimitar, a Hugin, 3 Sabers, and a Thrasher.
And on the right-hand side of your screen for Razor, we have 3 Sleipnirs, a Scimitar, 2 Curses, 2 Sabers, and 2 Dramiels. What you see here is Razor with actually a very good counter to the setup that HYDRA is fielding. That being said, I have a really hard time saying anything other than HYDRA is going to win this match. They've been doing so well. They've got a lot of experienced tournament pilots. And I have a feeling they're still going to manage to pull it out, but this is going to be a very hard match for them because those 2 Curses.
Yeah, the Curses, obviously the big difference. Tracking, disruption, and neutralization going to play a huge role. Ranges are important in almost all these fights. In this one, it looks like the teams have both warped in at range, maybe fearing some brawly stuff in the middle of the arena, but they're at near beacon, so there's probably only 50k between them. And all the teams are pretty much stuck right together at that range from the beacon. Yeah,
I think if the Razor team had some long-range webs, maybe a Hugin, then it would be an even stronger position. But the tracking disruptors and newts, especially the tracking disruptors that those Curses can put out, may make the difference. It may mean that their Sleipnirs will be able to do more damage than the HYDRA Sleipnirs, but we'll see.
Yeah, and this is we're underway now, by the way. This is definitely a pilot skill-intensive fight. I mean, this is one of those ones where, yeah, they have the tools there to win the match, but, you know, if the Curse gets positioned badly, if, you know, the tracking disruptors don't get spread correctly, things could turn around quick. So,
speaking of those long-range webs, the Hugin, piloted by Duncan Tanner for HYDRA, has webs on the Scimitar of Razor, and that Scimitar is dropping very quickly, extremely fast.
And, of course, that's terrible news for them. Really, what you always want in these setups is for that Scimitar to get clear, where he's going to, you know, have all the damage peeled off of him, and he's going to be able to run logistics for the rest of the fight. So that's not what happened. He's dead. Razor loses their logistics. The same time, HYDRA loses a Saber, but obviously that's not quite as important.
I would much rather, lose a Saber than lose my logistics ship. Meanwhile, HYDRA is switched now to the Curses, an excellent second choice of target, and Necrotic is losing his Curse very quickly. That is a shield tank Curse, and so it is going to drop extremely quickly once it goes, and there it is.
And traded for another Saber, same time. A Dramiel goes down, I believe, for the Razor team. That Curse was tackled, webbed by the Hugin or the Friggs, I guess, and then he had all the Slipners on him already, so he was not very far from the action.
I think the Hugin in this case is the deciding factor. The fact that the HYDRA Reloaded is using a very tried and tested Mimitar Rush setup. Razor's team has the tools that it needed to reduce the DPS of the opposing team when it can hold range, but other than nuding them out, which takes a while, it doesn't have the ability to keep that range. If they'd had a Hugin in there, they may have tipped it. Maybe a couple Sentinels too, who knows?
Second Curse, down it goes. And now it's like a full setup basically for HYDRA against just the 3 Slipners really for Razor.
And one of those Slipners is dropping very quickly. Meanwhile, damage is being applied to one of the HYDRA Slipners, but with Count Monte Carlo's Scimitar still there, he should be able to at least slow down the damage on him, and he's actually tanking him perfectly. It looks like it's going to be a very convincing victory for HYDRA Reloaded.
And, you know, we spent so much time during the tournaments talking about counters, talking about kind of setup metagame and how to decide what to field, but it always seems that when we get to the end of the tournament, pilot ability, FC ability has so much to do with the results. I think this Razor team is just in over their heads when it comes to the actual piloting aspect.
While we were speaking, Count Monte Carlo's Scimitar for HYDRA is starting to take damage. It looks like the remaining Sleipners have gotten on top of him, but I don't think that's going to be enough. A little bit too little too late, as Shadu would say. The only 2 Sleipners left for Razor isn't going to be enough DPS to go through 3 Sleipners and a Claymore before they lose their ships.
Shadu would say more like, too little, too late, with his eyebrows waving around, but
yes. I can't quite imitate that. The Saber for Razor is now dropping, and yes, actually it looks like Count Monte Carlo's Scimitar was able to get range. The damage has dropped to virtually 0 on him, and I don't think we're going to see any more losses for the HYDRA team. This is going to mean that HYDRA and Outbreak will face each other in the finals, which I believe is the first time the 2 teams who've worked this closely together have ever met in the finals. I think that's a pretty gigantic victory for Garmin and his boys.
Yeah, he basically took first and second, and as long as we're talking about Garmin, who is the team captain for HYDRA and has been mentioned before, he wanted me to promise to dedicate this match particularly, and maybe the whole tournament, to his mom, Carries, who is no doubt watching. He said she keeps him fueled with energy drinks and food, and even stands near the router during his matches in case he DCs.
This victory right here is for Garmin's mom.
Yeah, but crazy that he basically has 2 teams in the finals. I do have it on promise from him earlier today that if that happens, we will get a real fight. So hopefully no shenanigans in the finals where each corp decides which ship they want. And
I can say that this, well, there you go. With that match is finished.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about what it means that they've got the 2 teams in the finals later. But for now, we'll send it back to Soundwave in the studio.